Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into the world of Grant Cardone, specifically his book, If You're Not First, You're Last. Look, if you're trying to really crush it in business or sales, our mission here is simple. We want to unpack Cardone's, let's say, aggressive strategies for market domination and pull out the most vital insights for you.
That's right. And Cardone doesn't mince words, does he? His whole message is basically second place. That's irrelevant. You absolutely have to stand out. You need to act boldly, aim to be number one. And the book really hammers home this idea of aggressive selling, relentless follow-up, pushing for that urgency, that conversion, no matter what the economy is doing.
Okay, let's unpack that. It's a bold philosophy. Cardone's first big idea: dominate, don't compete. Sounds intense, like a really high bar. So for someone aiming for that, what's the first step? How do you become the only logical choice?
Well, for Cardone, competition is kind of for amateurs, honestly. Real success isn't about competing head-to-head. It's about taking massive action, like overwhelming action, really. So much that your brand, your product, it just becomes the only logical choice. Maybe you corner a niche, or maybe your value is just unparalleled, or you're just everywhere, so omnipresent that people don't even think about alternatives much. You essentially make the competition irrelevant. You just outpace them.
Okay, massive action as the default. Got it. But what about when things get tough, like when the market tanks? Cardone has this really counterintuitive view, right? Sell regardless of the economy.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and feeling that pinch right now, how does he suggest finding the courage, or even just the leads, when everyone else is pulling back?
Yeah, it sounds backwards, but he genuinely sees downturns as the best time to gain market share. Why? Because most competitors do retreat, they get scared, pull back on spending, on effort, and that vacuum, that creates unique opportunities for those willing to lean in, to actually go out and create new business. So his advice is basically double down. Increase your activity when others hesitate. Seize that moment. The leads are still out there, he argues. They're just waiting for someone bold enough.
That's a huge mindset shift, definitely. But okay, say you grab that market share. How do you turn it into actual sales? Cardone puts huge emphasis on follow-up. Relentless follow-up. The book mentions that stat, right? Most sales need 5 to 12 follow-ups. Yet most salespeople give up after 1, maybe 2 tries. That disconnect is massive. And honestly, that level of persistence sounds exhausting. How does he suggest keeping that drive going?
It is a disconnect, but it's about understanding that persistence pays off, like exponentially. Being relentless with follow-up means you got to embrace that long game. And it's crucial, he says, to use multiple channels.
Right, not just calls.
Exactly. Calls, emails, social media, maybe even text messages, whatever works. Because different people respond differently, right? And that consistent, varied contact, it builds familiarity. It builds trust over time. It's not about being annoying, not really. It's about consistently adding value, staying visible, until the timing clicks for your prospect.
Okay, so be persistent, be visible, which ties into another point he makes, that obscurity is your biggest problem. So how do you tackle that? Get known, and at the same time, create that urgency he talks about.
Yeah, you need to be everywhere your customer looks. That's the goal. So strong social media, yes, but also local events, partnerships, anywhere your ideal customer might be. Then once you have that visibility, you need to create a sense of urgency. And look, this isn't about those old school high pressure tactics, not really. It's more about helping prospects clearly see the cost of inaction.
What they lose by waiting.
Exactly. What do they lose if they don't move forward now? You want them making immediate, confident decisions, not just, let me think it over. And the cure-all for pretty much everything, in his view, massive action. That 10X rule, 10 times the calls, the meetings, the effort. For someone trying to put this into practice, how does he suggest applying it beyond just, doing more stuff?
Right. It's not just busy work. The idea is to stay highly active, but strategically. Think of sales as a full contact sport. That's his framing, which means you're always on offense, proactively building that pipeline for future business. Always. You never, ever rely on just one lead source. You've got to diversify your outreach constantly. And critically important, skill building in sales never stops. He stresses daily training, daily practice, objection handling, closing, really understanding customer needs. It's like being a pro athlete. You train every single day.
Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive. Grant Cardone's philosophy in Trocardy. If you're not first, you're last. It's intense, it's aggressive, clearly aimed at entrepreneurs, sales pros, business owners who really want to dominate, not just compete. Our goal today was to give you some solid insights from his playbook, things you can actually use to thrive.
Yeah, and maybe a final thought to leave you with. It all circles back to that whatever it takes mindset, doesn't it? And that stark choice in the title. If you're not first, You're last. So maybe the question for you listening right now is, what does first really look like in your world, in your specific market? And what's one massive action you could take, maybe even today, to start getting there?